a quick announcement before you watch this video. Sometimes you tend to have a script where you have these points written down on a sheet of paper and you think you're going to move in that direction. But then suddenly you get this inspiration to share something which is so deep and profound. It's like you just go with the flow. This is one of those videos where I thought I was going to say these particular points, but then I got the inspiration to share a very powerful personal story, which is very scary. By far, not just scary, it is something that will really remind you of how fragile our life is. Okay, it's a true story, and I'll tell you, it is one that gives me sleepless nights. So what I suggest to you is watch this video first. You can watch it at 1.5x speed, and if you do find value in it, okay, if you watch it towards the end, be sincere, comment and let me know that you're interested in part 2, because I can tell you one thing for a fact. If you listen to this video, you definitely will tell me, I can relate to this, because this is a true story that has been the reality for many people like you and me and our families. Having said that, let's go with the flow. Watch the video. Let me know your thoughts. Let's start. In this video, I'll give you my thoughts as to why there are some people who, just seem to be climbing up in terms of the corporate ladder and getting more and more salary or benefits. While on the other hand, there are certain individuals, or maybe you, who, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you work, you're just stuck at the same level, you're earning the same income, or even if there is a salary increment, there's hardly anything. And I specifically focus this on NRIs who are working in, let's say, the Middle East or Western countries. Why? Because they are predominantly my target market, and I interact with them. I also interact with the HR heads of companies, business owners, CEOs, people who I've known for ages and ages. So in this video, I'll give you these points and take them down or just listen to them at 1.5x speed. And I hope it adds some value to you. I have to give out a special shout out or thank you to the client who gave me this topic idea, because we had a session based on what I'm going to share with you. Okay, so let's start. Now, consider this. You have gone to a foreign country. Okay, you have gone to a foreign country and you have with you your degree, your limited experience, your expertise. Then you go around hunting for a job, searching for a job, and the struggle is always there. And finally, you do get a job. Okay, after a lot of struggle, a lot of prayers, a lot of tears, a lot of the tough times where you really had to believe in yourself, and lo and behold, you start your career. And as you start your career, you apply for other jobs in due course of time, and lo and behold, you got a better position. You climb up and you climb up and you climb up over the period of time. But then at some point of time, you reach that ceiling, and then you're like, I have now more experience. I am giving them more output. I'm giving them more results. But how come I'm not getting any job offers? Okay, people are looking at my CV. Wow, it's an amazing CV. Wow, okay, you have good experience. You go for the interview, and then they come back to you with, let me get back to you. And most of the time it's, let me get back to you. They never get back to you. Why? Because, they don't care. You're not the right candidate. So now, what is the issue? Is it racism? Oh, they prefer white skin at the top level, or Emiratis. Is that the case? Or is it like, there's too much of vasta, you need the right contacts, right connections? Or is it like, those people are insecure. If I take over the job, they are afraid their jobs would go. Okay. Now, maybe all this is true. Okay. I'm not trying to deny that maybe this is not the case. But then does it help you achieve your goal? Why is it? In fact, I want to ask you this question. Why is it there are some people who, despite racism, vasta, and all the other factors, people being scared they'll take over their jobs, why is it some people succeed but you're not? So there should be something wrong with you, right? It can't just be, everyone is at fault. Okay, so I've taken down a few points, and I want you to reflect on what I'm saying. Okay, this is a very self-reflective kind of process or the content that I share with you. I'll give you a very good example. They say, if you give a story, it really hits home. My stepfather, Frederick Pinto, even though, I hate that guy, hate is actual hate that guy for all the bad stuff that he did. But I can tell you there is this powerful example that can really change your life. Okay. So what happened was this guy, he started off from the village in Mangalore. He was a short, piddly fuck, still here. Okay. Never went to the gym, never did any exercise. The skinny fat kind of guy that he looked very much sim. Okay. I'm being factually honest. It's not that I hate him. I'm telling you, he was under my mother. He would dance to my mom's tunes, whatever she wanted. But in the office, he would be a different character totally. He'd be very pleasing. Ha ha ha. He would laugh at everyone, smile at everyone, and he would do his job pretty well. When he came home, he put on this facade that he was this macho, angry, people had to be scared of him. And the reason why most of our relatives were scared of him was because he was the only one in the entire family at that time, when I was like a teen youngster, who had a clerical job, clerk or receptionist, but that was paid British salaries. Now, why am I giving you these points? For a guy who came from the village, who applied for the first time in UAE, we are talking of the gold rush days where in UAE, you'll not believe what you pay per month today, what you pay per month for a one bedroom, you could easily get it for 1 year. Okay, those days in UAE. Okay, that time it was like UAE was just like a desert. There was hardly anything. There was nothing modernized. Okay, I'll not focus more into that. Okay, so he got into a company that followed British standards, that followed British salaries. So just imagine a guy from India in the 80s, suddenly he gets not 5 times, not 10 times, not maybe 20, 30 times more the salary. Okay, tax free. In his life, he would never get. And that also, they were training him. They followed a very British culture where they would train him for new skills, how to use. There was something called the telex machine. There was something called, you had to be a data operator. Remember, the computers were CRT monitors where it was a green flashing thing. MS-DOS was a thing. You had typewriters. Okay. So for all these, low-level skill jobs, they were paying British salaries. So obviously his confidence went way high. He thought he was ultimate because, come on, man, you're earning 20 or 30 times more than what you were earning in India. Okay. So obviously more money, more confidence, and he was dealing with the whites. So he felt he was, maybe want to be white. Okay. So he worked with this company right from the time he joined, almost 25 to 30 years. Okay, let that sink in. And that British salary that was there, initially, they kept increasing following British standards. Every year, there would be an increase. However, at some point, as more and more people started to come to UAE, the salary levels started to decrease, like they increased. But he was still paid far more than what a normal employee should have been paid. Like, for example, by today's standards, if the normal salary is just say $1,000, just for the sake of maths, simple calculation, a receptionist gets $1,000. He was getting like maybe $6 or $7 or $8,000. Just imagine. I'm giving you a rough idea on the purchasing power that he had at that time. Okay, so obviously his confidence was way high. He was ultimate. He didn't need anyone's advice. He would give advice. Okay, and there was no internet those days. There was no. You remember the source of our information was Encyclopedia Britannica. You'd pay to buy those big bookshelves with heavy duty leather bound dictionary type of books. Just Google search, you'll find them. You have to pay some, I don't know, $1,000 or $500. You get the full set. Okay, with pictures of snakes, birds, dinosaurs. Tell me why. Those were the days. So now what happened is he never thought he would lose his job. He never thought he needed to apply for another job. And he didn't know any other office environment other than this particular office. The employer's name was Bukatir. He was a billionaire those days. He was the first Emirati who bought India-Pakistan cricket match into Sharjah. Sharjah, that is not Dubai, Sharjah. And all the competitions were rigged those days to make sure Pakistan would win and India would lose, and they would pay money for them to lose those matches. Those who are in the 80s would remember this. Okay. So now what happened is, as the market started to evolve and grow, as the internet came into existence, as more and more people realized Dubai or UAE or the Middle East, you can get tax-free money. And, all those people who went to Dubai, they came back and they were building big houses, big mansions, because those days houses were cheaper compared to today. So people realized, man, if I want to make easy money, I have to go abroad. I have to. That's the only way to make money. Okay. So, when you have one Indian, suddenly you have 10,000 Indians, 100,000 Indians. Very soon, Middle East became almost 80 to 90% all Indians, full Indians. Indians had flooded the market. And you know what happens once Indians come in the market, they destroy the market. And where if you are asking, let's say, for example, you're asking for 1,000, the next guy will ask for 900, the third guy will ask for, give me 800. Next guy will ask, no, I'll work for 600, same thing. The next guy, sir, give me 50%. And then you'll get one shameless idiot, sir, I will work for free for 1 month to prove myself to you. So when you had people ready to work for cheaper, much more cheaper, oversupply of labor, and remember, they had now better skills than the people before them. They knew typing faster, they knew the new technologies. It always happens with the new generation. And there you started to have Filipinas coming in, females, they looked attractive and they could do the same job and they were asking for much more less. Then you had competition from Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, all these other countries. Africa had still not come into the picture. And one fine day, my stepfather, Mr. Frederick Pinto, the guy who was smiley, who was getting paid British salaries, got called by his Pakistani origin boss who had a UK Gora passport. He called him in. I can't get his name. Maybe his name was Feroz or something. He called him in. And, my stepfather, happy. He went in and all that. And he said, hi, Mr. Pinto. And he made it short. That's how a professional should be. We would like to thank you for your services. There's been a management decision and you have been terminated. Okay, these are your walking papers or whatever, pink slip. You can go to the HR and you can take your compensation or whatever salary. We thank you for your services. My stepfather, he never thought he would lose his job. He never thought he would be terminated. He just never thought that one day he would be kicked out. Like, is it possible? It never even crossed his mind. In fact, whenever he used to get after you complete 5 years, 10 years, they used to give you an A4 size printout paper, printed out certificate of appreciation just to save money. And they would put, to Mr. Frederick Pinto for years of service, dedication, whatever, and a small signature. And along with that, they would give them a little bit of money, or they would give a watch, they would give a clock. So my stepfather used to think, oh, this is a certificate, this is A4 size. And he would laminate it and put it as a frame on the wall, thinking that it stood for something. That's how management knows how to bullshit with you. Okay, so that you'll continue working hard for, without a salary increment. So he used to keep getting all these dummy papers especially after 10 years, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever. So now when he got terminated, well, there was no ceremony, there was no certificate, there was just a experience certificate that they gave him because he requested. But I'll tell you, when he came home, he was in a state of shock, utter shock. And he became the guy who was, acting tough and giving that snarly looks, and would just come like this. He just came like this. He would sit like a vegetable, and he didn't know what to do with his life. He really didn't know what to do with his life. And it became so tough because imagine for 30 years of your life, every day you get up at 5:30 or 6 in the morning, 5:30, and you shower, and then you fry 2 eggs, you have with a slice of bread and a banana, and then you go nearby to your office, which was close by. And then you come 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then you eat food, and then you go back again. And fixed time, British system, no? 6 o'clock, come back home. So you lived your entire life doing that, being in your comfort zone. And now you lost everything. So now what the hell will you do? What the hell will you do? And I'll tell you, for him, he didn't share all this with me, but I can definitely tell you that it must have hit him like a lightning bolt. Every day he would get up in the morning not knowing what to do. He would feel lost. He would feel like a zombie. He would feel lifeless. Even though he had money in the bank, even though he had property, even though he had those days, he lost everything eventually. He didn't know what to do. So, lo and behold, he decided, okay, my mother pumped him up and said, come on, you got a job. You came from nothing and you got all this. You can do it. Come on. Okay. Little did that fucking idiot know that the market had evolved, times had changed, and he was in for a very rude awakening. And what was a rude awakening? He didn't know how to make his CV. Maybe Loy Machedo was not there to give him his services. But those days they followed the 80s, they used to call it biodata, or they would call it, I don't know whether they even called it resume, they called it CV. So they would have objectives, the typical bullshit, objectives, and then my objective is to climb the top of the corporate ladder, the cliche stuff, and then work experience, name of the company, and what you do. Before that, what you do. Before that, what you do. And then personal detail. I'm Christian, Hindu, Muslim. They used to put those days. Date of birth, height, weight, all that stuff. Okay. So he had his 2-page resume. He managed to get it because one of his family friends or friends that he had worked in those days. There was a recruitment company, British, which was called Better Business Bureau, and BAC, British American company or something like that. So they gave him a free template. They used to give the same template to everyone, basically. Okay. So he took that template boldly with his pot belly and, holding, used to go, he just wore a tie. He didn't know how to wear a suit. He would wear a check shirt and, the olden days, how they used to look like. So with his mustache, he used to go to, one interview, second interview. My mother used to drive him because he didn't have a license. And that is where he experienced something called rejection. And for a man who always thought, no matter what happens, I am the ultimate. I get a big salary. Every single place he would go, he would get rejected. And when he would sit there were like 5 people, 10 people before him, and some were slim, some were wearing suits, some were ladies, some were Filipino. And he used to feel ashamed. He never felt so small. In fact, he never knew how to give an interview. I don't know his interview skills, but I can definitely tell you that he would suck. Okay. You can act like a bully at home. You can act like a piece of shit and, ultimate God mode. But if you don't know how to, and talking just he, and smiling in the office is not marketing and selling yourself. He didn't know anything. He didn't know what is a resume. He didn't know what is interview skills. After all, who was there to teach him? He just came from the village and he got his first job. Okay. He never knew public speaking skills, marketing skills, sales skills. He didn't have any knowledge. He never read a book in his life. He never went for any training program. Nothing. In fact, the only training program I think he went was being a typist. He used to even put his typing speed. Well, multiply the rejection day after day, week after week, month after month for, let's say, 15 years. He tried so many things in between. Side businesses. He tried partnerships. He tried working for someone. You remember I told you he had property, house, land and everything in India. He was, those days worth millions. He lost everything because of bad decisions. And because he was a simp and because my mother was more like, another overconfidence piece of shit that she was, she thought, she was making money. She was literally like how I'm earning per a day. She used to earn just by giving massage, just by teaching, Jane Fonda. You can Google search Jane Fonda exercise. She used to watch those videotapes, waxing and all that for the sheikhs' wives. They were not allowed to go out those days. So she would interact with them and she would talk to them and they would give her money, big tips. Like she would earn per day what many people would be paid per month. And that also contributed to having a lot of property. So she assumed she was a good businesswoman. And she took a lot of risks. She made my stepfather take a lot of risks. And believe it or not, they lost every single fucking thing. Everything. To give you an idea, today they are penniless, living in, my stepbrother takes care of them. I'm not in touch with them. Half brother. He takes care of them. And they have dementia. They are dying basically. And they're penniless. They have been penniless for, I think, close to 10 years. Penniless, huh? Living on other people's mercy. That was how many bad decisions they. And I can tell you that this hit him so hard that one day in between the rejections, this actually happened. He used to sit at home and, there's nothing to do. Sit at home. And so he used to say prayers to this Jesus and Mary and candles and the Christian prayers. He used to make me raise my hand because he thought raising the hand would please the gods. And he would bloody sit on a chair. I had to raise my hand and kneel down. Okay. And then as he was praying, this seriously happened. Huh? This is not a joke. This has really happened. My stepbrother to this day remembers that. He was hardly, I think, 8 years old or 9 years old. That as he was praying, oh Jesus, oh Jesus. And then he actually said this, why did you give me a useless guy like me? He's pointing towards me, not to my stepbrother, his son. Why did you give a useless guy like me? Why doesn't he die? Why don't I get a job? If he dies, why don't I get some money? He's such a useless guy. He's eating all my money. Oh, what will I do? I don't have any job. I don't have anything. The man was confident, who used to think, he used to cut my hair, even when I was 15, 16. So grab my hair like this, take a scissor and cut it off. Seriously. I used to try Razor Ramon, WWE. That's how he used to actually treat me. He used to beat me with a, rubber cane, which Arabs used to use to hit animals. Okay. And and he fell down and he was, I just walked out of the house. I was like, fucking. So, I was a rebellious teenager those days. And I'll tell you, he became like a vegetable. He became like a vegetable, still showing a grumpy face, but he became like a vegetable. He lost all his confidence. And, finally led to his decline. And I told you, lost everything and now dementia. Now, I didn't expect to give you such a long, drawn-out story, but this is very much in line with what I'm going to share with you in terms of points, points that will help you change your life. Okay? And am I trying to scare you? Yes. Yes, I am trying to scare you. Why? Because this is a reality you have to face. And I'm one of those guys who's not going to sugarcoat it. Does it give me sleepless nights? Of course. Absolutely. Just because I'm a YouTuber and I have good money today, I've not forgotten those days. I've seen people who are rich, famous, having big corporate jobs and, positions that nobody could touch them. All have today. No one cares about them. They are like literally, some are sitting on a wheelchair, some are sitting old, some are just dying for a little bit of attention. Not that everyone is suffering. Some people have their children taking care of them. But where they were to where they are today. And this is a stark reminder. It can happen to you. It can happen to me. It can happen to anyone. So this is part 1 of this video. I'll give you part 2 where I'll give you the actual points to think about so that it leaves with you something, not just to be afraid, but to use the fear to motivate and drive you to achieve greatness. Okay. So let me know if you watched this whole video until now. Did you relate to it? Were you able to, understand what I'm trying to say? I'm sure you must have seen this happen with your family also. If yes, please do comment. And if you watch the video till the end, this is the only request I have for you is just mention, yes, I watched the video till the end, and share your perspective, because that's how you communicate to me. And would you be interested in a part 2? Because if yes, I will give you these points that will help you. And I hope what happened to my stepfather and the people that I know, it doesn't happen to you. Because end of the day, trust me when I say this, you, I, all of us, we have to be very afraid that this is a very strong possibility and a reality. All right. Let me know your thoughts and wait for part 2.